So iPad and AI might be the best tools you own for unplugging without throwing away the bits of tech that are actually genuinely useful. Now, yes, hang on, I know a tech YouTuber unplugging using tech. I know how that sounds, but hear me out, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to answer 3 things. Why everyone is talking about unplugging right now and why you might want to too. What you actually lose if you do it wrong, and how I'm using an iPad, a Notepin, and some other AI tools to do it without giving up the good benefits of tech. This video is sponsored by Paperlike. Now, last month, I experienced a strange and brilliant contradiction. I went on a 2-day development retreat with a group called Creator Leaders, 40 creators at a spa, most of them deep in tech. And for the first time in a while, I just took written notes on an iPad. And yet, by the time I got home, I had complete keynote summaries of every session. I'd unplugged for 2 days and not looked at my phone too much. And I sent everyone at that retreat a custom Notion dashboard summarizing the entire event. This is how I did it, and my tips to embrace this new world of unplugging intentionally. Mintel have called digital detox the lifestyle trend of 2026. Vogue recently ran a Supercharge Your Digital Wellbeing piece in January, and Dr. Rhonda Porter published a 14-day plan to rewire focus without detoxing your life. Oxford even published an expert commentary called Why Cherish the Analog in a Digital Age. And just yesterday, at an AI vibe coding build competition in London, one of the pitches was literally to start a new punk revolution at an AI coding competition. Read that again. And you've probably also spotted quite a few Gen Zs around the place and some famous faces back on wired headphones. I think this is half positive virtue signalling and half quiet protest against the environmental impact. But either way, we're just hearing this same friction maxing everywhere. I want my attention back. I want to be more present in real life. We're all trying to reclaim our brains, but the coverage misses the how very often. So here's my hybrid solution and what happened at that retreat to get present and then create some friction. The setup is 3 layers, and the iPad is the only device I own that kind of does all of them at once. So layer 1, handwriting. It makes you more present. Studies show this is better than typing for being in the moment. Slow, mindful, properly in the room. It's the notebook version of thinking, the bit that actually sticks in your head, a true personal present experience. But what was interesting at that retreat is I wasn't trying to write down everything that person said or the key ideas, when people screenshot the presentation. I was just writing down only the stuff that was my personal perspective, my personal response, training real critical thinking. And I found I could do that because of the next layer, setting up some AI benefits in the background. So Notability is my favorite note-taking app on iPad, and it records the room while you write. Now, this is the bit that most people miss about that app. While you're handwriting, it transcribes stuff that's going on and in time links the two together. So when you look back at a single line of your handwriting, you can tap it and hear or read the exact thing the speaker was saying at that moment. That is a massive unlock, which means I can commit to handwritten notes without ever worrying that I'm missing something. Pair that with something like AI meeting notes running in Notion on the iPad, or a Notepin in parallel, more on that later, and every keynote, panel, offhand comment for that whole event is captured without me touching anything. And layer 3, well, you plug back in, but in the right place and the right time. I upload exports of the handwritten pages straight into Notion with Notion Agent, referencing the AI meeting note summaries already there from the event, and got a full detailed set of reports for every session. I got the agent to lay it out in the database for me, and I could share it with everyone else. And that's why I was the one who was sending those keynote summaries to the group, not because I took more notes, because I took the right notes by hand and left the AI to handle the rest. So you're getting analog attention on input, AI on the output. So that's one of 3 answered, the tools that keep you present. Now for the trade-off and the second half, the friction that stops you checking socials mid-conversation or forgetting to turn up at all because you were doom scrolling. Now, before we talk about the trade-off here, I mentioned paper-like earlier because I truly believe it's the tiny things that go a really long way when making this analog stuff work. And actually, making an iPad feel like a paper notebook was what finally made me happy to leave my notebooks alone and stick with iPad. And that is why Paperlike has been on every iPad I've owned for the last 4 years. It's genuinely one of the easiest recommendations I'll ever make. And that's because writing on glass with an Apple Pencil is just slightly wrong. The pencil skates, your hand never settles, and there's just that tiny wrongness genuinely changing how often I pick the iPad up. And honestly, we should probably stop putting keyboards on our iPads and keep them light and easy to use, right? For years, I've defaulted back to a paper notebook for anything that actually matters: script notes, journaling, proper thinking. And Paperlike 3 properly fixes that. Their nano dots surface gives you proper friction under the pencil. It slows your hand down so you actually write as you think. That's the whole game for me. The difference between an iPad you can carry to look productive and one that you actually reach for first. And installing it, they've got this new butterfly application system that solves the 3 things that ruin every screen protector install I've done: dust trapped underneath, and bubbles, misaligned edges, instructions you can't follow. The pack stays sealed until the protector lands on the glass. The helper tool locks the alignment before you press down, and the whole install runs as an interactive guide on your iPad while you do it. It was actually really entertaining. Mine took a few minutes, and it probably is the first one I've done without swearing. You get 2 protectors in the pack, 100 days money back guarantee. So a link is in the description. Honestly, I can't recommend it enough. So now the trade-off, because when you unplug, yeah, you may finally get off social media, but you also can easily lose the benefits of tech. Each piece of tech has 2 sides. A phone is a camera, a map, a way to call your mum. The same phone makes you doom scroll. AI records meetings and writes summaries so you can be present in the room, and that same AI can make you a lazy thinker if you let it. So you don't want to completely unplug from these things. You just want to build friction around the side of them that's stealing your time from you. So that's 2 of 3 answered: what you lose and why the bit you lose isn't the bit you need. So here's the second half. The apps are designed to win. Zuckerberg makes money for a reason, and a lot of us, it's probably at our expense. So tier 1 of my friction apps. The best tool I found is OneSec. A study from the Max Planck Institute found people opened their apps 57 times less just from using it. Tap Instagram, and instead of the feed, you get a few seconds of stillness. Then it asks you, do you really still want to open this? Half the time, the honest answer is no. No willpower required. It's just a friction in the right place. I really rate it, and it works on iPad. If you don't want to pay though, because that is paid, then ScreenZen does it for free. Or Freedom, if you want to work across iPhone, laptop and iPad. So pick your weapon. Check them out below. Tier 2, friction on the device itself. So the strongest move is to just not have your phone or your iPad with you. And this is the one that I've been quietly obsessing over recently. This thing here is the Claude NotePin S. It's a tiny wearable AI note taker. It clips on your collar or sits on your wrist like this. You can magnetize it to your shirt. You can even tie it around your neck. Now, my first instinct with something like this is that you're more plugged in, right? You're like a cyborg. But actually, it's making me more present. And here's why. You can just press a button on this and it will transcribe stuff. You can tap the button once to highlight something, and that's it. You don't need your phone with you. Now, this is not a sponsored item. I just have been using it and loving it. And yes, it does look a bit like you're being, I don't know, mic'd up for a podcast no one invited you to, but I'm aware it works still, right? There's 64 gigabytes of storage on board, so your phone doesn't need to be with you, and you just literally press the button, turn it on and off, so you know when it's listening, which matters. The capture layer moves off the phone onto your device, and the slot machine stays closed. So that recall still runs in the background, and it's the same hybrid stack. You just haven't got the risk of these things on you, and you can do it in person. I love this if I go to an event or a dinner and I want to have chats with people and I think this could be a useful conversation. I can just turn this on and no one really worries about it. You just have to disclose you're using it, right? So that's 3 out of 3 answered. But quick aside before we wrap this up. Paul Kingsnorth wrote a book called Against the Machine. And the one line worth borrowing is this: the machine isn't the enemy, drift is. Drifting into tech without ever asking what it's doing for you. I've got a longer take on that linked below if you want to check out my kind of philosophical video on what is happening to us in the world of AI. So here's your one thing to try this week. Pick a moment, a Monday planning session, your next one-to-one, an event you attend, and find yourself a good in-person note-taking device. Try my Notability hack if you have an iPad, and if you really want to go for it, stick your phone in another room or under a sofa cushion. I'm not judging. But let's be honest, if your focus or attention still feel broken, it's really not the apps and tech that are causing the problem. It could be something deeper. And I actually made a whole video on exactly that, building the right habits to get work done with less effort. And you can watch that video right here to find out where all your time goes. I'll see you there.